Hey, this is Patrick, Personal Touch Mobile Detailing, and you are watching our Details In-Depth Live Series, powered by Personal Touch Mobile Detailing, where the standard is a clean car. Today we had an amazing interview with Miss Lillian, talked about credit, 5 things you should know about credit. So here is the
Thank you
interview.
for giving me this platform or opening up your platform to me to come on and share. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
So my question to you is, what people should know about the credit? What are some of the things they should know? What are the 5 things that they should know?
5 things. So top 5 things. Um, let's see, top five. So definitely make sure that you're checking your credit score at least once a year. There is a website that you can go to. It's called www.annualcreditreport.com.
Okay.
And it's a free source that you can go and create an account. You actually do get access to all three credit reports, so you get the top three: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. There is a little bit of a fee for if you decide to see your credit scores, but
Mhm.
to actually see what's on your credit report is free. And the reason why you want to definitely do that is because there's over 40 million Americans that actually have errors in their credit report that they're not aware of. And these errors can be, different types of debts that are reporting multiple times. It could be clerical errors, outdated background information, and things of that nature. So definitely make sure that you're checking your credit report at least once a year. Another tip, number two, is just understand that the credit agencies, they are not federal agencies. I know, they have the word bureau at the end. So
Yes,
you've got
ma'am.
the different types of credit, quote unquote, bureaus.
Yeah.
But understand that these are not federal entities. So therefore, you can dispute under your Fair Credit Reporting Act. You can, as a consumer, dispute to have things that are inaccurate, obsolete, or incorrect to be removed from your credit report. Tip number three is to know that your credit score is important, but so is your history. So when you're looking to make an expensive purchase, sort of like a car or a house or things of that nature, understand that the lenders, they are looking for more than just those 3 digits. So they're looking at how well, they're looking at your credit score. They're looking at how well you're repaying your debt, making sure that you're on time with paying your debt, making sure that you're not outside of the debt to income ratio whenever you're factoring in a house payment, and other monthly debts and things of that nature. So just understand that yes, your credit score is important, but there's other information that goes into determining whether or not you're eligible for a loan. So tip number four is definitely to understand that, like I said, kind of jiving in with tip number two, just understanding that, there are things that can be removed from your credit report legally, and it can be done before that 7 to 10 year standard time frame. Just because you have, a collection on your credit report, and you go in, let's say it's a medical debt, and you go in and you actually offer a settlement on that medical debt, understand that just because you offered that settlement, that does not mean that that debt is going to come off of your credit report. So you definitely do want to, although I do recommend, that you go ahead and pay off any debt that is truthfully yours. Just because you pay the debt doesn't mean that it'll come off of your credit report. So that is one of the purposes of going through, the credit restoration process, is because once you pay that stuff off, you can legally take the route of trying to get the things removed from your credit report. So it's not factoring into your credit score. And then tip number five is understanding that yes, you can consolidate existing debt. Most places like a credit union, definitely, and any bank that you bank with, I definitely recommend going to a credit union first, because sometimes the interest rates are a little bit better. But get a small loan or a small personal loan through your bank or credit union, to pay off or consolidate existing debt, so that you can, pay one bill to one place, as opposed to paying, three or four different companies. And what that does is that actually helps to boost your score, because when you go to get that loan to consolidate the debt, what most places will do is they'll go ahead and qualify you for the loan, but then they'll say, hey, bring me the stuff that you're wanting to pay off. And the things that you're wanting to pay off, they're going to go ahead and cut a check directly to those companies. So it'll look as if you actually paid the loan off, even though you took that money and you basically opened up another account with a credit union, but that credit union is going a step further to actually pay off the debt that you're wanting to consolidate. So it'll look like it's a paid in full type loan on your credit report.
Okay. Is does self lending help you with as it pertains to your credit score? Being like,
Most definitely.
okay,
Yeah, most definitely. A self-lender account is sort of like well, it is a installment account. It's not necessarily a revolving account. I'll explain the difference between installment and revolving. With an installment account, it's basically like things like your car payments. So you get approved for this particular car, whether it's 15, 20,000, whatever the case may be. So you get approved for this car, and then you make monthly installment payments on your car. So you're making car payments each month. Now, a revolving loan functions sort of like a credit card, where you get approved for a credit card. They may give you a credit limit of $1,000. You can spend, although I do not recommend it, you can spend, the $1,000 off of the card, pay the $1,000 back, and respend it all over again. So revolving just means it's a cycle that you can keep on paying off, reuse, pay off, use again, pay off, use again. So
okay,
definitely, a self lender account is an installment account. You definitely want to make sure that if you do decide to go the route of building your credit using a self lender account, that you make sure that that self lender is reporting to all three credit bureaus, not just one. Another tip that I can give you is to make sure that you're paying your bills and your monthly expenses on time, because that factors into your credit score as well. And then, since we're talking about self lender and revolving accounts and things of that nature, if you have a credit card, or if you want to go the route of getting a secured credit card, make sure you're keeping your utilization low on those credit cards. And what I mean by low utilization is under 30%, or less. And if you want to get real aggressive with it and get your score up really quickly,
yeah,
give you a hint, give you a little pass here. You want to make two payments a month. And those two payments break down like this: 15 days before the due date, and then 3 days before the due date. So you're going to pay half the 15 days before the due date, and then the other half 3 days before your due date. Because it looks, whenever the credit card company looks at your payment history, it looks as if you've made two payments.
okay. So, what on your looking at your credit report? What is the difference between soft inquiries and hard inquiries?
That's a very good question. So with a soft inquiry, is an inquiry where your credit is not pulled. They'll look at, a soft inquiry is more like where the lender is looking at your name, getting your demographic information. So your name, your address, your social security number, your phone number, just basically the information that they'll need to qualify you for the loan. But then they go a step further. And some places will go, some lenders, if you're qualifying for a house, they'll go ahead and actually pull do a hard pull right then and give you what's called a pre-qualification letter. But the hard pull is basically where your credit report is pulled.
Okay.
So a soft inquiry where your credit is not pulled, you're just given basic demographic information, and a hard pull is where your credit is actually physically pulled to see if they can qualify you for any type of loan that you're trying to get.
Okay. One of the big questions that's always asked is about credit cards. So, is it a good thing to pay your credit cards off or not?
It just depends on whether or not you're going through the building phase or if you're going through the maintaining phase. If you're going through the maintaining phase, then it's okay, although you do not again want to go over that 30% utilization, because the more you start going over that 30% utilization amount and on up towards where you're possibly maxing out the card, that's actually going to drop your score.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, if you're looking in terms of maintaining, then you don't have to necessarily pay your bill the 2 times a month. Just make sure that you stay under that 30% utilization amount, and make sure that you're paying that bill on time each month. Now, if you're wanting to build credit, increase your credit score, then that's when we need to look in at options for um definitely staying under that 30% utilization. Like, it's no longer an option at this point if you're wanting to build. And then making sure that you're paying half of the balance 15 days before the due date, and then 3 days before the due date, so that you can start seeing your credit score. And it'll take about maybe 4 to 6 months of doing this, but you'll see your score will continue to increase.
What really impacts your credit score?
So there's many things that actually affect your credit score. Um, and like we talked about earlier, there's your payment history. So you definitely want to make sure that your payments are on time, even for the things that you're not disputing. So your payment history factors into your credit score. Your credit card utilization factors into your credit score. The age of your credit history. So for how long you've had the history. This is why I generally tell people whenever they're going through the repair phase, if an account is already closed and it's in collections, we can dispute that. But if the account is open, and you may have like some late payments or something like that that's being disputed, let's dispute the late payments, but keep that account open, because especially with today's time during the pandemic, you may have had good history on this debt where you're paying it on time like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, when COVID hit, some people have lost their jobs and stuff like that, so there may be like a month or two where they have some late payments. So don't throw the baby, what is that called, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Don't dispute the whole account to try to get the entire account off of there, because when you remove that entire account, that's removing all of your good history that's associated with it, that's actually helping you build up your score. Typically, I'm seeing a lot of clients that are really wanting to purchase a house, that are looking at getting into more reliable transportation. And then most people are just wanting to, now that it's COVID is going on, the pandemic, they're really just wanting to clean up their credit, because whenever you go into a place to apply, I mean, you've got insurance companies that now pull your credit score. You've got a job, that you apply for, that are now, most places are pulling your credit score to see if you're even qualified on the score level to even work there or get car insurance, health insurance, cell phone bill, cell phone, utilities, things of that nature. So your score, like I said, is very important.
Also, I have a few questions. We sent out a Instagram live, ask the expert,
Uh-huh.
and I have a few questions here. The
Okay.
first the first question is, when your credit is being pulled. So removing pull credit inquiries. So Joe from Kenner, Louisiana, asks, can dealership credit inquiries be removed from your credit report?
They can.
Okay.
Yep, they can be disputed and removed just like any other account that you have on your credit report. As long as it's reporting inaccurate, obsolete, you know, derogatory remarks, you can dispute those. The only thing is, whenever you're looking at credit inquiries, you definitely want to make sure that the credit inquiry is not tied to an open account that you have at that point in time. So you want to dispute, basically, you want to dispute anything that's not tied to an open account when it comes to inquiries. That's the best way.
Okay. The next question is this question comes from Mary in New Orleans, Louisiana, and it's about divorce. So will
Okay.
my credit score be affected if I switch back to my maiden name?
No, it will not. And then thank you, Mary, for asking that question. And that's a very good question. Um, because we think that, it's my name, it's my information, my address may have changed, my last name may have changed. And yes, you do definitely want to make sure that that information is up to date on your credit report, but it's background information. So no, it does not have any type of impact on your credit score. And think about it like this: when it comes to your credit history, what you give a lender to see if you're eligible um, for the loan, or and I keep saying loan, but to see if you're eligible for the account that you're applying for, the number one thing that you give is basically your social security number. So that's what attaches everything to you. So when you give your social security number, even though your last name may have changed, whether or not you're qualified for that loan, and then the company pulling your credit report to see if you're income eligible, it's all tied to your social security number.
I have another question. This question is comes from Lisa in Metairie, Louisiana, and it's a student loan question. So the question is how to remove student loan inquiries on your credit report.
That's a very good, very, very good question. Thank you, Lisa, for that question. So student loans, and I've actually had a lot of people that have asked me this question, because you think student loans, it's with the federal government, the one that comes to the top of my head right now is like Fed Loan Servicing. So you think it's a federal entity. I can't dispute, this debt from my credit report to have it removed. And that's actually a myth. A student loan is basically, it's no different from any other type of debt that you have. It just so happens that, an entity with the federal government is servicing the loan. So if you have any questions, those are the people that you contact and things of that nature. But certainly, if you have, collections or charge-offs or late payments, derogatory remarks in regards to a student loan account, those items can be disputed as well. And you would just go through the process just like you would with any other account. Obtain a letter, put in your information in that dispute letter, and mail it off. If you so choose to go the route of doing it yourself, which I do not recommend if you're not, up to, if you don't know how to speak the language of the creditors. It's best to actually have a professional attorney to do it for you. And lucky for you, I do have access to a company that actually is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that
Okay.
actually, our professional attorneys, they'll actually go to work for you and they'll prepare your dispute letters for you and mail them out. Now there is a monthly subscription that goes with that. And there's other things that's in that package. Like Patrick touched on whenever we first got started. So you've got the credit restoration tool, you've got the budgeting tool, the debt payoff tool, the savings goals, which are all things that you definitely need, especially if you're talking about purchasing a house. But those are all offered through our company, and we do, like I said, have professional attorneys that actually go to work for you, to help you repair, rebuild, and restore your financial life.
And the last question is from Joe, from Kenner, Louisiana, and this question is about expired charge-offs. So his question is, when will a charge-off that's still on your credit report after the expiration date fall off?
So I know the standard is the 7 to 10 years, and it just depends on the type of account that we're talking about. However, creditors, what they do is they'll actually sell that debt to a collection agency. And what that collection agency will do is they'll start trying to collect on that debt, which is now become a new account with a new company. So the 7 to 10 year time frame basically starts completely over. But what I definitely want you to understand is when it comes to having things, removed from your credit report, sometimes things will drop off at the time frame that they're supposed to, and sometimes they won't. So there may be a situation where, just a case in point, I had one client that looked at her credit report, and she was like, well, Lillian, this was supposed to have fallen off 2 years ago. But what actually had happened was the the original creditor that she owed was still on her credit report, and then the company that purchased the debt, the collection agency that purchased the debt, was also on her credit report for the same amount, for the same service and everything. So she had two separate creditors that was reporting the exact same debt on her credit report. So that's one too many. So her credit score was actually taking a hit for not just one collection, but now two collections. So that's definitely one of the reasons why I said you want to pull your credit report once every year, if not more than that, to make sure that there's no duplicates or anything on there, multiple items that's actually pulling your score down.
How can someone become a part of your team? I see you guys have like a business partner program. How can people be a part of that?
In the world of business, and we're talking about you owning your own business,
Right.
there's certain qualities and traits that you have to have, and that tenacity to keep on going in spite of the no's, and in spite of people saying, well, I don't have it today, or I can't get started today, let's wait till Friday, or can you give me a discount, or things of that nature. You just really have to be there's a certain type of, what's the word I'm looking for, like a preparedness that you
Right.
have to have. You have to have it. So definitely, when I'm talking to people that want to join the team, that's just a conversation that I have to have offline, because this is a person that I'm going to be working with, that's going to be working closely to me. So I'm going to be investing time and energy, and things of that nature. So I want to make sure that the person that I'm investing in, you don't want it to, you don't want to cast it before the swine, and it's just not, people don't really want it, or they're just after the money, which at the end of the day, there is good money in credit repair. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a $6 billion industry. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just be clear about that. There's
Yeah.
money in it now, don't get me
Uh-huh.
wrong, but you do have to have that tenacity to keep on going when people are like, no, I don't want to do it, or I can't afford it, or I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah.
um so you just have to, you have to be ready and prepared for those objections. And that's just a conversation that I have to have with the person offline, to make sure that before we get too deep in, that this is something that you really want to do, that your why is big enough to keep pushing you, even in spite of doors closing and things not going your way. So, but definitely, there is some opportunities. We're looking for agents all over. We're looking for people.
Okay. So, what would you say your why is? What would be your why?
Man, we don't have enough time. Listen, my kids and my family are definitely part of my why. But to take things a step further, I really I'm really passionate about what I do simply because of the blood, sweat, and tears, or the hell and high water that I went through to get to where I am. Rest assured, and this is why I really take my time and why I hesitated when you said working with me, is because when you go through the storm and the rain, you want to
Yeah.
make sure that the person that's there, that's wanting to be a partner, is going to be there and be that partner. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So my why is definitely tied to the fact that I'm not here by happenstance. I'm here because it took 11 years for my husband and I to take 3 steps forward to get knocked 4 steps back, or to we had the situation with student loans just like everybody else, and
Yeah.
people feel like, oh, I can't get a house because I've got student loans. Well, I'm here to prove to you today that that is not correct. Now, you do have to work around the DTI and making sure, that your income is and your debt is there. Your income can sustain the debt that you have. But at the end of the day, I'm here because I know it took blood, sweat, and tears for me to get here. And I love being in a position to be able to give this knowledge and information back to other people. Even if you tell me, no, you don't want to do it today, or, you got to wait till Friday when payday comes, or whatever the case may be, it's just that knowledge. Because, like I said, when we first got started, that's something I know for me, and I'm 35. That's
Yeah.
something that I didn't get in school, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that what drives me is the fact of being here and in a position. Long story short, is being here and being in a position to now be able to help other people.
I also noticed that you guys do help and give back and do different things in the community. I've seen that you guys have a scholarship program or partner with someone with a program where you guys could give back monies to high school students that are going to college. So, what is you can tell us about that?
What you're talking about is the Youth Financial Literacy Program. And good thing is last year we actually gave out $400,000 in scholarships to high school seniors and college freshmen. Um, and like I said, it was $400,000 that was given out last year to I think the $25,000 top prize went to a young lady named Kayla. She's from Atlanta, Georgia. And this year, we're actually on track to give out $600,000 to the Youth Financial Literacy Program. And how we're able to do that is, remember that subscription that I talked about earlier for the credit restoration package?
Mm-hmm.
$2 of every payment that is actually made on that monthly subscriptions, $2 of that goes into our Youth Financial Literacy Program.
Yeah, on your phone.
Just in case.
Yep. So that means we'll have everything.
See, now then, you know what? If the audio is too big, how will I be able to send the file?
The audio should be.
And remember the last name, first name, last name is Lillian Dublina.
Okay, Dublina. I got this little thing. I got this little thing right. Well, I don't know if you can see it right here in front of.
Oh, let me remind you.
Yeah, Lillian Dublina. Correct.
Dublina. There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Let's get this going.
Let's get it going.